ladies. You're very welcome, folks. I'm delighted today to be joined by Ciara and Banu, two of our wonderful Genos practitioners. And this session today is going to be a casual chat where we discuss social media, what we've learned, what to do, what not to do. And this is a part of our ongoing series that we're just launching on Genos University around offering Genos practitioner community chats. So diving into business development, sales tips, working online, and lots more good stuff to come. So we've got a lot of great stuff to go through today. But first, ladies, would you both please introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about your background working with social media? Should we start with you, Banu?
Yes, hello from Turkey. I am Banu, the co-founder of PCT Turkey. In our 5th year of being a distributor of Genos, I'm really very happy and excited to get in contact with all of you, Genos partners from all over the world, through this video. Today, I will share with you how we use social media to run our business and the strategies we have used. If you have any questions more after the video, you can contact us and I would be very happy to answer them.
Thanks, Banu. Ciara.
Hi, I'm Ciara from Pinpointing Potential, and I'm the complete opposite to Banu. So I'm very new to social media. I'm a new Genos practitioner, and my business is relatively new as well. So just in the last 6 months, so I'm bringing a different perspective to Banu, one from brand new to social media strategy, and I want to share with perhaps some of the newer practitioners who are in the same position what I've done and some tips of what to do and what not to do. And I hope that that's really helpful.
Amazing. Thanks, ladies. So, I think it's clear from our chats and get-togethers with our Genos practitioners that a good social media presence is really key, especially when you're building your brand or promoting your business, particularly for smaller businesses, which a lot of us are in. Can you tell me, though, why social media is important to you and why you think coaches, consultants, and trainers particularly should use it? And again, we'll just make a flow of going to you first, Banu.
As we all well know, we have been living in pandemic for the last 6 months. The importance of social media have increased significantly because due to the lack of physical contact, we need to describe what we do clearly through the digital world. And believe me, it's not very easy. People want to get what they need instantly, and of course, they also want to feel safety. Social media is the biggest marketplace of buyers in this regard because they can search what they want in seconds and they receive more information than they need. I want to highlight an issue at just this point. Until recently, search engines was the only tool by the buyers, but now they also use hashtags and the other search criteria on different social media platforms or channels. Therefore, it's really very important for coaches, consultants, and trainers to use social media effectively in a right manner as everyone. Both individual and companies are living in these platforms.
Thanks, Banu. I know we're going to dive deeply into kind of what you've learned over your experience, but Ciara, you mentioned you're very new to social media, so why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, I still can't believe I'm sitting here advising on social media. But exactly what Banu has said. So for me, it's a brilliant way to connect, to share knowledge, and to really collaborate with people. So on social media, there are 3 billion people out there that are on social media. So it's a huge captive audience for us that we can tap into regardless of where we are. So we could be anywhere globally and be able to reach those potential customers and clients. So it gives us an opportunity to nurture and to engage with the target audience, and it also gives us the ability to establish our brand as professional and thought leaders as well. So it's an excellent way to stay in the forefront of new and prospective clients' minds. The amount of clients that I've had that have said to me, "Oh, I've seen your posts on social media. I knew I wanted to do something about it, and that prompted me to give you a call or to send you a DM or to email you." So it's a really good way to boost sales and generate leads. So in the 3 months that I would say that I have been active on social media, so far I've generated 5 leads. I've converted 2 of those into actual clients, and I'm still in negotiations with the other 3 that I am going to convert into clients as well. So it just goes to show that it has been successful. It also gives us loads of time and information to learn about our customers, prospective customers, and what they're doing, and to stay on top of industry news and market trends as well. And the thing that I love as well, because for me, measuring is really important, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but we can measure our return of investment through the reporting and analytics that's available in social media, and also see really quickly and clearly what is working and what's not working. So I think that was 8 reasons that I think is really important for us.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think one of the things, just to add, because in my previous life I worked more closely with social media for a large company, is you don't have to do everything. A lot of people will come and say, I need a social presence. I have a YouTube, a Google+, a Twitter, an Instagram, a LinkedIn. Now what? And the focus shouldn't be on being everywhere. It's finding 1 or 2 places and doing that really well and digging into it. And also one other thing I love is social listening, which you talked about, keeping up with market trends, industry research, finding out what the different topics people are talking about that are your potential target market. And one of the best things is a lot of it's free. You know, it's one of the best marketing tools you can use, and it's free. And a last note there as well that I think is really important is, both of you do this really well. It gives your, potential client or your existing clients a little insight into yourself, your personality, who you are, what you're passionate about. And people love seeing the face behind the brand, and social media really allows you to do that. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, people buy from people at the end of the day, right? So they want to see who's behind the brand and who's behind the name. So I think that's really important to be able to get in front of people in that way.
Brilliant, thanks. And sticking with you, Ciara, so as you said, you're relatively new. What were some of the key lessons that you learned in getting started? What should someone consider before they start posting online?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing key for me was looking at the avatar of my target client. So there's no point, as you mentioned earlier, it can be overwhelming with social media. There's so much out there. So I think what I wanted to do was really create a focus. So that focus to me was looking at what my avatar for my ideal client was. So and that wasn't just I think my avatar is a HR director or a head of HR. It was breaking it down even more definitively, so I was able to specifically target them. Mm-hmm. So just for example, for my avatar, for my key clients, it's going to be head of HR, HR manager, HR director, CEO, general manager. And luckily for me, most of my friendship group and my network are at that level. So what I worked back from there was that I know that most of them are female. I know that most of them are in the target age group of kind of 35 to 55. I know that they're quite highly educated. I know that they're interested in good magazines, good food, good wine, fashion. They love to go out for coffees, for lunches, for dinners. They love to be with their friends, and they tend to be multitasking all the time. So they'll have a coffee in one hand, the phone in the other. They'll be on social media while responding to emails and messages. And they tend to be as well women who support and uplift other women. That is my personal avatar for my company. So then from that, I worked out which would be the most appropriate platforms for me to be very active on, and that was Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And what I find from LinkedIn is that I'm actually generating a lot more business from Instagram, even though I have so many more connections and contacts on LinkedIn than Instagram. So my specific targeting on Instagram seems to be working more efficiently and effectively. I noticed something on social media last night that a social media expert had posted saying, is Facebook dead? So I think that there has been something over the last kind of a shift over the last few months. And I know for some of my friends who have older kids now, the kids are saying, yeah, but we only put on Facebook what we want you to see. It's not what we're actually doing. Yeah. So her question last night was, is Facebook dead? But her answer was, it's not. There's still 2 billion active monthly members or users on Facebook. It's still the most popular social media channel, and there are 90 million small business users that use Facebook, and there are more women on the platform. So again, for me, that was really important. And as Banu said earlier as well, with Facebook, it does help with your search engine optimization as well. So that was key. Instagram has very quickly, randomly become my favorite. It's my comfort zone now, which again, I never thought that I would say, but there is 1 billion active monthly members there. It's such a visual platform that it's very quickly for you to build that connection with people. And it is the fastest growing. And with the stories in Instagram as well, you can really portray the authentic professional you without and keep it on brand and keep it separate to the posts that you do, which I really, really like as well. I read somewhere that there's 62% of people say that they've become more interested in a brand or product after seeing it on Instagram. And obviously with the hashtags on Instagram as well, you can increase your visibility and your following by really targeting your hashtag strategy, which is something that I spent a lot of time on at the beginning whenever I started. LinkedIn, I've been on it the longest. I have the biggest following, but that's generally from my previous background, people connecting with me. And but it's a lot more formal to me. I think at the beginning they marketed it as it's like Facebook with a shirt and tie, and it is still very effective. And I think it's important to be on it. I think it's important to have a company page on there as well. But in terms of my personal comfort level and the success that I've had to date, it's been more on Instagram. So looking at the kind of, I also started off looking at what am I hoping to achieve? So I really sat down at the beginning thinking, what is my overarching goal of using social media? And it is at this point to increase brand awareness and to build that trust with followers and potential followers. And as I mentioned, because Instagram is so visual, I've been more successful at doing that. And then after the brand awareness, I'll continue to lead into engagement, and the engagement levels have been increasing on a regular basis. And then that engagement either leads to website clicks or sales.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'm going to come to you, Banu, now in a second. But before I do, Ciara, you talked about setting goals with social media. Like where do you think someone should start? Is it brand awareness, web traffic, making sure you're always including a call to action? How did you decide on what you were working towards?
Yeah, good question. I think for me, it was brand awareness. So that's really what I was trying to get out to there. Although I've been in sales my whole career, I've never been a hardcore salesperson. So I'd rather go on social media and really create that brand awareness with people than pick up the phone and do cold calling. And in fact, it's probably more effective, particularly in the current environment where cold calling is really quite frowned upon. It gives you that ability. So I thought, well, I need to get the message out here to potential clients about what it is I'm doing, and the best way to do that is by social media and building that brand awareness that will lead to hopefully engagement and sales.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So Banu, you have been active on social media for quite some time. I know you have another session recorded on Genos University with Chem where you share some of your strategies. That has been viewed a lot on Genos University. How much has changed for you from when you got started to now? Like, for example, the type of content you post or lessons that you've learned over the years?
In the beginning, we started, first we explained the importance of our field in Turkey, emotional intelligence. We have explained how emotional intelligence is. One of the biggest obstacles that was the concept of the emotional intelligence had been misunderstood. Mm-hmm. Our first aim was, and still is, to explain the true concept and value of emotional intelligence. Like, it's a must-have skill for both business and personal life, and that can be developed. We kept promoting this for first 2 years. with less emphasis on our company, but giving more importance to the emotional intelligence. Now we still keep doing it along with promoting our company. This has helped emotional intelligence and how it's applied in all aspects of especially in organizations, began to grab the intention of deserve. And also, he's also helped us as BCT Turkey and Genos International to be regarded as the pioneers of emotional intelligence in Turkey. Starting in our third year, we started to sharing more on our work with companies in the field of emotional intelligence. Then we noticed that 2 points are very important, 2 important issues. One being scientific and research-based, and 2 measurable. We kept sharing our messages with these 2 points again and again, and on the social media. Because as you know, social media is a very dynamic place, and when you share something, it gets forgotten in a short while, since the wall of posts change instantly. Our way was that.
Amazing. And you know, that's a really good point, because people love case studies, right? And a lot of us don't work in larger companies that have a whole team to go take the before and after, measure the ROI. A really great and simple thing you can do if you get your client's permission, you can go to them and say, you know, would you give me a few sentences that I could use to create a social testimonial? Or even better, if they'll hop on camera with you for a few minutes and talk about what the experience was going through a training development program or something like that. And again, that's something that you can, you know, use your iPhone for. You don't need a big setup, and capture that information. And I really liked what you said about educating. I think that's really important on social media. I don't think a company will, maybe unless you're Nike or Chanel or something, that you can just be selling and have product information, but it's all about, you know, educating people, giving them content that's of good value, whether it's motivational content, inspirational, learning more about what emotional intelligence is. And there's so much already there. So for example, like the Genos social posts, we have about 200 of them that you can use, but also you can make your own. There's a tutorial on Genos University about how to create images using Canva, which is a free platform that you can use, upload your logo, add some content, and create a lovely looking image. And on that note then, Banu, creating content. So do you do that yourself? Do you get people to help you with it? I've seen you on TV shows, radio shows, seen a lot of really good stuff coming out. So it's very impressive. So, you know, how easy is it to do things yourself, and how much do you need to get help with?
It's not so easy. Thank you for your sayings, and Afa. We always create the content ourselves because we know the essence of the work. However, we have an agency that we receive support in design. We kept working with them since the beginning of our company, and now they know very much about us, our approach, and the emotional intelligence. They know very well what we like and what we don't. Sometimes we fight with them, but that's all.
And Ciara, what about you? Do you use any outside tools to create content yourself, or do you have a designer, or do you do it by yourself?
I do it by myself. So I use Canva, and that for me was, it's a lifesaver. So I can save everything in there, and if I see any images that I like, I just put them in there and then design it afterwards. And what I do is that I've always got my eyes and ears open, so I'm looking for content all the time. So at the beginning, I think I spent so much time, I would sit down with a blank piece of paper and go, I could post about anything. And so it's quite overwhelming at the beginning. So it was important for me to narrow that down. And then now whenever I see anything on LinkedIn that anyone's posted, or on Facebook or anywhere like that, I save it. And then when I'm looking for some kind of inspiration, then I go back to my saved items and pull them up and then design something around that. So there's typically a theme around what I'm doing.
And I don't think a lot of people realized when we were hosting that session, sharing about Canva, how it can seem intimidating, and people might go, I'm not a designer, I can't make a social image. It really is very quick and easy. You do a few of these and then you get familiar with it, and next thing you know, it takes 2 minutes to create something simple that you can share out online. I like to take, 30 minutes, an hour at the start of my week, and go in and take, for example, some of your saved items, Ciara, and then go in and create those and then post them out. Before that though, people say, I don't have time for that. You can go onto Fiverr or Upwork, and there's a lot of really, really great freelancers. We used to pay, because that's how much they asked for it. It's €20 for 30 social media images.
Wow.
Absolutely brilliant. And all you have to do is send them your logo or what, theme you want, and then your images or your bits of text. And then typically they'll get them back to you within a week or 2 weeks. And there's a lot of people out there from €20 up. So before you say, I don't have the time, I would definitely suggest, looking at that if it's not something you want to do yourself. Yeah. But then, ladies, speaking about the time thing, so what are your thoughts on scheduling tools? So there's Hootsuite and lots of different things out there where you can go in and schedule your posts for the week. What are your thoughts on that? Banu?
We do not use scheduling tools, Aifa. For a while we use them, but some platforms have algorithms which reduce the effectiveness of these tools. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy task to do it manually, but we also use the current news developments in our posts. For example, we kept posting emotional intelligence, emotional management, and resilience during the pandemic because those items required that topic to be shared. Besides, we have monthly agenda, of course, and we arrange different kind of posts each month on different categories. We definitely share a post about what we do and our services. We share a good, meaningful article, research results, organizational issues, images, and videos from our trainings. And also, we share posts on national days, of course.
Yeah. Oh, celebrating national days. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you, Ciara?
I do use Planoly, and just where I'm at in my business, it works well for me. I don't plan it I think the key is to not plan too far in advance. So for example, I normally do a week in advance. So one day a week normally I have a kind of something idea comes into my head, and then all of a sudden I've planned the whole week. So I put together a rough schedule for social media. So for example, on a Tuesday I do a Top Tip Tuesday, on a Thursday I do an IGTV, on a Sunday I do a motivational quote. So those are the kind of staples, and then around that I fill it in with anything that kind of comes up that day or that week and fill it in with there. So I'd say probably for Planoly I use it for 75% of my time. So I use it, but I'm not dependent on it. And for that one, you can't use it for LinkedIn, and I can't use it for IGTV. So it's just for stories and posts. But I like it because it's quick, it's efficient, it's easy to use, it's good for banking content. If you're in that kind of creative spirit and mood, then it's good for getting it all down and banking it. What I would say is what I always do is I know that they're being scheduled. So therefore, on the day that I've scheduled them, about an hour before, I will jump on and check and make sure that nothing has happened that has impacted that particular post, or if it's about someone and that person's now on the news or something like that. So I do a lot of kind of research behind when I do it, and then I also look at it and make sure that there's nothing to question the impact or the validity of it right before it posts. So yeah, and it works for me for now. Like Banu said, it worked in the beginning for her. Maybe in another little while it may not work as efficiently and effectively, but now it does.
Yeah, that is a good point on, not scheduling out too far ahead of time. Back in a previous life of mine, we would put together these like ebooks and promote them out on social media. And someone had shared an old one from it was years and years ago, and we had quoted Donald Trump in it under leadership, and it was like, oh, didn't know he was going to be the president of America and things were going to go this way. So yeah, that was interesting. And on the scheduling thing as well, I like to use it where I'll go in and I'll schedule something to Genos Europe Facebook and Genos Europe LinkedIn company page. But then for Instagram, this is a thing that I think a lot of us have had to learn. If you are using scheduling tools, you can't just take the same piece of content and push it out to all your platforms. Because Instagram is visual, you need a media element in there. So we'll typically share something to Facebook and LinkedIn if it's say an article on Forbes or Inc.com. because an image will pre-populate of what Ink's image is, and then you could share the link that way. And then also one of the key learnings that I think a lot of the practitioners have experienced this year is that the links in your Instagram, below your Instagram, are not clickable. At least when you build up your following and you become super famous like the Kardashians, you can have a swipe up or click to buy option, but we don't have that luxury yet. And so I think it's really important, if you're promoting something, to change the one place you can have a link in your Instagrams in your bio. So if you are promoting, like we're about to launch a new webinar, so we're going to change the link in our bio to whatever we're promoting, and then change it back to our website once we're finished with that. So I think that's really important, because it also will look like you're automated if all your content is the same and all your content has that same link.
Yes.
So making it relevant. And like LinkedIn will ask questions. What are your thoughts on this? And try to engage people in conversation.
Yeah.
But then, so speaking on content, I think one of the hardest things for a lot of people getting started or even staying active on social is, what type of content should I use? Where should I look? Where should I start? Any thoughts on that, ladies?
We pay much attention to create original content, Eva. We record ourselves talking about issues. With our videos, we try to add subtitles as we because some people do not prefer to listen, given that they are in a crowded place, but prefer to read in slide mode. This is really important. On the top of that, we also share great articles and research results from a variety of sources like Forbes, Harvard Business Review, and Gallup. We usually use that. And there are a couple of things noticed with these platforms. We prefer to use Instagram and LinkedIn, but the content should be, as you say, different. For example, Instagram videos are more popular, but LinkedIn, the engagements are better than images. These points are really important about content.
On the video piece, I'm going to link a couple examples when we post this on Genos University, so they're below. Profiles East Africa, our practitioners over there, did a really great job of a video series. And they just had someone come in, and each of the coaches just sat on a chair in the office and were asked the question, what does emotional intelligence mean to you? And they just answered and made it personal and connected to them. Or they went through, which competency do you think is most important for you? And so someone talked about authenticity, someone talked about emotional reasoning. And then each of those little videos, they just posted out to social media. So absolutely go check out Profiles East Africa on Instagram if you haven't seen them yet. Ciara, what about you? Creating content, you've kind of shared that you take inspiration from things that you see online. Anything else to share on that?
Yeah, I've set up a lot of alerts. So I get a lot of... so although it kind of clogs up sometimes I think, it's clogging up my emails, but I just then file it into a folder, and again, something that I can go back to at a later date when I'm ready to look for inspiration for social. So I have Google Alerts on emotional intelligence and a couple of other topics around it as well. And I also do alerts for, and I think I've set up every single alert possible for like Harvard Business Review, for Inc.com, and for the Chartered Institute of Personal Development, CIPD, which is really relevant to me here. I have daily emails from them. Gallup is another one I get some from. Forbes, Raconteur, which is one, I'm not sure how I ended up on that, but they have some brilliant content as well. And I do, anytime I post something from that, I do tend to get quite a lot of engagement. And I follow quite a lot of hashtags as well, so relevant hashtags, and I see what other people are posting. And then sometimes that gives me inspiration, and sharing other people's posts, obviously, which then increases engagement, helps too. So, and I also try and do one IGTV a week as well, because that tends to help with engagement, and it seems to be on Instagram, as Banu mentioned, it does get a lot of engagement, and doesn't on LinkedIn, which I learned thankfully before I started posting too many videos on LinkedIn as well. And my biggest engagement always tends to be on my days that I say, these are, these are the top 10 things for this, or these are the 5 best things for that. So something that somebody can look at very quickly and at a glance see a whole topic in just a very quick glance, I think tends to be the biggest engagement for what I'm doing anyway.
I want to talk about the engaging content and titles, the listing. But before we do, can you explain for those that may not know, what is IGTV?
Oh, I can't believe this is me saying this. Instagram, is it Instagram TV? Yeah. Is that what it stands for? Yeah. So Instagram TV. So what I typically do is once a week, I will do a very quick up to 3-minute video, and it is literally me with my phone, taking an up to 3-minute video of something that's really topical and engaging. So something that is relevant to emotional intelligence. I went through all the different behaviors. I did top tips for improving emotional intelligence. So it's something that is going to basically give them some content. And IGTV is, well, you might have to step in here, Aoife, but it's basically you get more followers because you're hashtagging different people. So it's different people saying it, but also copy it into my stories as well, to get followers from there.
Yeah, no, and you're spot on. It's so like typically you can take a video file and upload it onto Facebook or LinkedIn. Facebook have Facebook Live where you can live stream. Instagram, you can go live with your IGTV so people can watch it live, or you can record it and upload it and then share it directly to your story. So you're spot on. The same thing with LinkedIn. I would actually I didn't do it much, but I've recommended putting video content right now is really popular. A lot of people, there's so much noise out there and so many different things when you scroll that I think people are a lot more inclined to stop and listen, particularly if it's yourself on screen and to see what you're saying. I think it was a year or two ago, Derek and I ran a Mindful Leader program, and Derek is always he's the face of our business. So, because he's the trainer, the expert. And I hopped on one day and made a short little LinkedIn native video just saying, guys, this is really important, and here's why I think it matters, and here's why I think you should join. You're welcome to, blah, 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 and shared a little bit. That got more engagement than anything else I'd ever posted on LinkedIn, because people were like, oh, here's Aoife, what's she saying? And went in to have a look. And, people that weren't connected with me on LinkedIn were able to see it. I'd share it out through a blog post. And then people can share that content that aren't already connected to you, particularly if you're using the right hashtags and a catchy title. So let's talk about catchy titles and engaging content. So Banu, you were talking about attention grabbing titles, particularly things that were specific to maybe your region or what's going on in your part of the world. And then Ciara had talked about, 10 top tips. Could you talk a little about that for me, Banu?
Of course. Each platform have different dynamics and different kind of users and viewers. As you know, there is a funny saying, in LinkedIn, everyone is very successful. In Instagram, everyone is very happy. In Twitter, everyone is angry. In that sense,
such a good way to put it. Oh, very good.
In that sense, LinkedIn is more for business-based posts and posts related to the professional life. For instance, when we posted about the bad managers, especially, and their typical behaviors, the engagement increases lots. Besides that, research results on leadership, employee engagement, employee development, and emotional intelligence grabs the attention as well. On the other hand, the other thing that works well in LinkedIn is quick win tips, as Ciara said. Here are 5 ways to be more effective. What we do is, if we find an article and research about this, we arrange a post, an image, along with a link to the article. Also, we do not neglect that, although being more professional and business platform, it's again used by people. LinkedIn serves people especially. So being vulnerable is the important key. In my opinion, the most important key is being vulnerable, because both failures and success stories grab very attention. And on Instagram, we put more importance on videos and more people feelings oriented to the content. We live in that side.
Yeah, amazing. And Ciara, we've already chatted about the types of content to share. So I think one of the things that would be helpful is maybe kind of sharing an overview. So kind of what our recommendation would be for people is to maybe create a worksheet that has, here are my go-to resources. Here are ideas, taking ideas from this recording, for example, to how to title your topics. And one thing that I've shared with people in the past is the 80-20 rule is a really good thing to follow. So making sure that 80% of your content is informational, educational, helpful, and 20% of it is promotional. Of course, if you're offering up a free webinar or a free session, that is promotional, but it's helpful. So it still fits into that rule. Anything else to add on that? I feel like I've already answered your question.
Thanks for that. No, I guess what I always do in those situations is I always think of myself as the reader or the end user. Mm-hmm. And so when I see anything, I think, okay, would this interest me? If I was flicking through and I'd had a super busy day and I only had 10 minutes to look at Instagram at the end of the day, what is going to capture my attention quickly and keep my attention? So I guess whenever I'm looking for the content and thinking about content, it's always with that in mind. How is it going to be received by the person that I want to receive it and receive it well? And for me personally, I have a conservative approach, particularly at this kind of early stage of my business development. If there's anything that I'm not sure about, and there has been some things that I've designed to post and go, right, I'm going to do this, and then there's something in the back of my head going, I'm not sure if this fits with the voice that you are portraying and the person that you're portraying. And my recommendation in those circumstances, in that instance, is don't do it. Mm-hmm. If you've ever got any kind of, certainly in these early days, once you've built up that kind of loyal client following and your clients and your prospective clients know you better, like with Banu, you probably have a bigger comfort level of doing it. Yeah. But for me in the early stages, I would say if you have any doubts about it, don't do it. Don't post it.
And it's learning and adapting as well. It's very funny, I'll share because we're among friends with all the practitioners. So I have my personal Instagram account and I have my Genos Europe Instagram. And thankfully, my girlfriend, Sarah, we were having sangria for our first reconnection get together through COVID. And we were sitting having sangria and I posted a picture and she said, Genos Europe tagged you. I posted a picture of my sangria out to all of the Genos Europe followers on the stories. Thankfully, she was there and we caught it so I could delete it before anyone saw it. So, and I hadn't had any sangria, so that wasn't why I did it. But it's always good to just make sure and double check everything. And if you're not sure about something, and maybe don't post your sangria out to your company, or do. If it's part of your brand, that's fine.
Absolutely, that's it. I think that's the key point there is if it's in line with the brand that you have, then it's okay. But if it's not, then that's whenever clients start to get a bit, what are they or what are they not?
Like a lot of people will have some of the little bits of their personal life in their Instagram. And I think that's really nice to show your brand, like going for a walk or nice scenery or out, doing something new or on vacation. But it's keeping the right level of professional and personal side of things. Yeah. I was just going to add, because something you said reminded me, Profiles East Africa also did a really good job of, on Instagram stories, you can ask people questions and almost give them a little quiz. Yeah. So they would ask a question about, say, what does emotional intelligence stand for? And you can put two answers and they can pick the right or wrong one. So I think any way you can get people to engage with you and take action is a really good point. Yeah. So now let's get into, we chatted when we were having our pre-call about, some people will come to me and say, I've been on social media and I've been posting, but nothing's happened. And you set goals for yourself. So with brand awareness is always a tricky thing to measure. I mean, of course, you can see how many people have seen your posts and how many followers you have. But as far as measuring things with social media, Ciara, you mentioned that you love to measure results. So would you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing about social media is that it's really easy to measure. So on a daily basis, like really basically what I do is at the beginning of every day, I look at how many followers I have on Instagram and on Facebook, and how many page likes I have on Facebook. And I just make a note of it on the top of this is like dinosaur-like, but I make a note of it at the top of every page. And then I can go back and see how, what progress I've made. But there are 3 specific things that I look for whenever I'm looking at how successful and measuring how successful and the ROI of social media. The first one is the reach and impressions. So with the reach and impressions, you are measuring the amount of people who see your social media activity, and that is the most important metric to measure, because how successful are you being at raising your profile? The second one is the interaction. So how many people are liking, commenting and sharing your information? And again, that is important for increasing your reach, because the more people who interact and share, the more people you're going to reach overall, because of the algorithm of Instagram and Facebook. And then, as I mentioned, an increase in followers. So this will show you how that you are growing and that people are watching. And what I'd say as well is that for what we're offering, it's quite unique and it's quite bespoke. So the amount of followers that we have and the traction that I've gained for the first 3 months has been quite slow compared to like a retail outlet or someone in the food and beverage industry or something like that. But in the back of my mind, I just keep thinking, well, if I have gained 3 followers this week and lost 1, so I'm +2, if those +2 turn into clients, then that's better than having 5,000 followers who are not engaging with me, who are not interested in the services that I provide, and who are never going to be customers. So I do spend a lot of time as well looking at specific posts and seeing how many people liked it. And then I will look at the posts and go, well, why did they like that one and not that one? And was it the imagery? Was it the content? And then putting that content or similar content out there with different imagery and seeing the difference. So it's a lot of trial and error, I'd say, at the beginning to see what works and what doesn't work. But it's really very easy to look at the return on investment on it and to make adjustments and changes depending on what progress you're making.
And I think even if you don't dive too deeply into the measuring side, I think at least once a week going in and looking at Facebook, you can very easily see there's these bars and it'll show you this much engagement on this post versus this much engagement. So at least having that sense, and similarly on Instagram as well. A lot of times people will say, oh, I got 2 likes, but you might have hundreds of views or impressions on your post as well. So taking those into account. Banu, anything you'd like to add on measuring the impact with social media?
Lately, we noticed something. I want to add about it. Lately, we noticed that when we share a video or an image from our training, adding what kind of topic we had covered, what questions we have answered, grab more attention than just saying thank you to all participants for their interest and contribution. I can add this. It's really important. Maybe all Genos practitioners use this kind of posts.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think visuals and video are really important right now. And one thing to remember is, there's a thing called micro blogging. No, might have been micro blogging, but basically repurposing your content. So say you have one blog post that you've written, or you've seen a blog from Inc.com. You can take a sentence of a quote out of that article, create a post on Canva, as long as you source them. So you're not stealing their content, that you source them as the source of the content, create an image, adding your logo to it, or read an article on Forbes and then take a quick little video about your thoughts on it. What's your opinion, and then sharing that out online. I think, and then there's a lot of different things that you can do with one piece of content. And for anyone that hasn't, taken the time to dig into Genos University, we have blog posts, marketing content, social media images that you can use, and feel free to make them your own or use them as they are.
Yeah, just reminded me of something else as well. Whenever you were talking there, is the importance of making sure that you're posting when people are online.
Yeah.
So when the people that you're trying to target. So apparently somebody told me, or I read somewhere, that your post is really only visible on Instagram for an hour. That's where you're going to get your most, like your biggest engagement is going to be in the first hour of posting something. So you can look on Instagram and see when your audience is online, and then post whenever they're online. So there's no point for me in posting at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is when I would probably, in my head, I'd go, well, I'm just going to post at 7 because that's when everybody's up and sitting with a cup of tea. But actually, people don't get up until 9, and and some people won't look at their phone until after they've got up and started their work day. So actually, the best time for me to post is 8 o'clock, and then an hour after 8 p.m. So it's getting to know when your audience is online and making sure that you're posting whenever they're online will be more effective and efficient for you as well.
And on that note, we talked about scheduling tools. That's why I love scheduling tools, because on the weekend is when I'm sitting having my lazy afternoon, reading my book or watching Netflix or doing something, and that's when I'm scrolling. Yeah. So making sure that you are sharing content, even if you shared it during the week, you can share it again, or schedule a piece of content to be going out on Saturdays and Sundays when people are at home relaxing on their phone, even though they probably should be off their phone. And so another quick note, we had, when we met before, we jotted down some things we wanted to share with everyone. LinkedIn is an amazing tool for a lot of reasons, but a lot of folks don't realize that they can use it as a personal blog. So on your LinkedIn profile, they were very smart years ago when they created this option, because blogging was everywhere. Everybody had a blog and they were promoting it out. You can take say some input from a client engagement and make a mini case study based on what you did with the client. Make it anonymous if they're not comfortable with you sharing their name or details. Or again, if you're not comfortable getting on video, which is the case for a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable and they don't want to do that, take what you want to share and create a draft, or just type out your thoughts on a particular topic, EI and AI, resilience, whatever it is that is the big element of your business and a big part of your brand. And then create a blog post on your LinkedIn profile, and you can publish it, add an image. You can get free images on Unsplash, add an image to it, put a catchy title like 10 tips for, or why I think X is whatever, and share it out. And the great thing about the LinkedIn blog platform is your content can be seen by people that aren't connected with you. So it's a good way for brand awareness outside of your network, and also for promoting yourself and your content. So there is also actually a recording on how to do this on Genos University under the Marketing with AFA lesson. And it just walks you through the simple steps for doing it. But if you have content, if you have information, definitely look at adding it there as well, particularly if you're not comfortable getting on, video and stuff like that. All right, ladies, well, we're coming towards the end, so I just have one or two more questions for you. First, any key things that people should remember or take into consideration, or any things that they shouldn't do? Ciara, we go to you first.
Sure. This is all, and as you were talking there, I was thinking about it, this is all relatively new for me. And I think one of the biggest learning things for me was that you can't really go massively wrong unless you are not crediting someone for the content that you are repurposing, or, so it is a lot of that, as I mentioned earlier, kind of trial and error. But one of the thing that I would say not to do is don't give up. So even though it might feel like at the beginning that you're posting and you're not getting massive engagement, and particularly for me at the beginning, I was spending a lot of time putting content together, and then I'd get one like and think, why did I spend all that time doing it? But actually, it just takes time to build that engagement and to build that following, and it will come, but you have to do it consistently. So just don't give up with it.
Banu, what are your thoughts?
Social media is the face of our business as seen by the others. Mm-hmm. Most companies, when searching what they want, they do not go only websites but social media platforms. Since social media platforms are more dynamic and we need to keep pace, and this is the most important place for us to tell clearly what we do. To tell the truth, it takes time and effort, but it's worth the pain.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. All right. And so what would be your one best piece of advice for social media, or getting started or continuing on social media? Ciara?
I think for me it's, and I'm sure this is somebody else's quote, not mine, but feel the fear and do it anyway. So it is very, very, for most of us, it'll be very uncomfortable to be the face of social media at the beginning and to put yourself, you really are putting yourself out there. So it is, you just have to keep doing it, and you have to keep pushing it, and you have to prioritize your time to commit to doing social media, because it is a commitment, and it is very easy as well for it to become all consuming. So you can sometimes I sit down and then I look and think, oh my goodness, I've been on this for an hour and a half. And so it's really good to manage your time and make sure that you are carving time into your schedule every single week, and that you're committing to it. And just remember that it does take time. You make sure that your followers and your your connections are going in the right direction, and just keep doing it.
And what about you, Banu? Any final thoughts?
Social media is our new world.
Yeah.
Try to live in there.
Definitely. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, ladies. That was excellent. I really appreciate all the insights and guidance. So I'm sure we'll be back with a deeper dive at some point, but that is it for now. Finally, let's tell the folks watching the recording where they can find you on social media. I will tag it below the video, but if you'd like to share what your company names are so they can connect with you. Don't all rush.
Yeah. So you can follow me at Pinpointing Potential. So pinpointingpotential.com, Pinpointing Potential on the social media as well.
Amazing. Banu?
And we are in bccturkey.com and also in all Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook accounts in social media.
Amazing. And for those that aren't following Genos Europe and Genos International, we're Genos Europe _Europe. You should be following us by now. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, ladies. And we'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Pleasure.
See you.
Pleasure. Bye.